President Trump today not backing down when it comes to China and trade. His United Nations speech called out the world's largest, or close to second largest economy, called it out in a big way, promising a new paradigm for how we deal with China. Take a listen.
But those days are over. We will no longer tolerate such abuse. I have great respect and affection for my friend, President Xi. But I have made clear our trade imbalance is just not acceptable. China's market distortions and the way they deal cannot be tolerated.
Joining us now is famed economist and best-selling author Ben Stein. Ben, great to see you. Listen, look, China's been flouting trade laws since it joined the WTO back in 2001. Isn't the president right to call them out?
He can call them out all he wants. It's like King Canute trying to call out the waves and tell the waves to stop crashing. I mean, the wave of Chinese power, the wave of Chinese industrial productivity is not going to be stopped by Trump calling them any names he wants. It's not going to be stopped by any kind of tariffs. We have a large, more or less permanent trade imbalance with China, and they have been kind enough, not recently, but in years past, to take that trade imbalance and buy U.S. Treasury bonds. So actually, we owe them a great deal. You go to your local Walmart, go to your local Price Club, or whatever the stores are called. I don't really go to stores, and they have and you find out what anything costs. And if it's made in China, it's of good quality and it's cheaper. And you buy it there. They take the money and they buy Treasury bonds, and we're all set.
Yeah, but at the same time, they've been stealing intellectual property. They haven't really invented or come up with anything themselves. That's a problem.
That's a giant problem, and that is actually, I hate to say that, that's almost a criminal law problem, and I think there are international courts of criminal law that can handle that problem, but I'm very, very worried that Mr. Trump thinks that we're going to be able to have a U.S. trade balance of zero or even a trade surplus in favor of the United States. And that just doesn't work. And there's such a thing as mercantilism, which is an idea that you are not doing well in the world of trade unless you are selling more than you're buying. And that's just a nonsense idea. It's been discounted, disbelieved, disproved by everybody from Adam Smith onward. And if Mr. Trump doesn't understand it, we're very worried. I mean, I think if he doesn't understand that basic part of economics, I'm worried.
You may be worried, but there are many who say we should at least try and level the playing field a little bit rather than let them get away with it. Or is that not accurate in your mind?
No. I think in terms of the theft of intellectual property,
right.
Mr. Trump is 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000% right. We've got to stop that. We've got to make the Chinese understand that they're going to have to pay a price for it, although what the price is going to be, I'm not quite sure. Any price we charge them is going to be charged back to us. We have got to somehow make it clear to the Chinese that this just does not to be tolerated. And the Chinese don't need to do it. They are an incredible powerhouse of intellectual property and intellectual creativity all by themselves. We don't need to have them stealing from us. They're a very major intellectual power all by themselves.
We had a lawmaker on one of our shows recently who just came back from China, and he said, you know what? He gets the impression it's all a paper tiger. I've heard this before. He was staying in some city where he said at night, it's almost dark because you have all of these apartment buildings that are vacant, 70, 80% vacant, that the economy there, we're told, is vibrant and this massively growing middle class and it's all you know, engines are roaring. But he said the reality is it's not, and that we're being fooled a little bit into believing that their economy is in such a good shape that it really is.
Well, now you're putting your finger on a very, very important point, which is that Chinese economic data is not trustworthy.
Right.
And they're reporting incredibly powerful economic growth year in and year out when it clearly is not actually happening. So we don't know exactly what's going on. What we do know is that they send us good quality industrial goods, good quality electronics goods at a bargain price. And as I've said now over and over again, and it's a really important point, they help us with our enormous deficits by buying our bonds.
True.
I don't think we want to fight them. We want them to be our friends, and I believe they are reasonable, intelligent people and can be reasoned with.